Hello everyone. Uh, our today's topic is regarding organizational development interventions, which is related to HRD scorecard subject in HR. And coming to the topic, organizational development interventions. So, first of all, before going to learn about the organizational development interventions, first of all, what is organizational development? So, organizational development can be defined as a critical and science-based process that helps organization build their capacity to change and achieve greater effectiveness by developing, improving, and reinforcing the strategies, structures, and processes. Okay, so this is organizational development. So basically, organizational development means the organization focuses on improving the organization's capacity, effectiveness, okay, through the alignment of strategies, structures, people, rewards, metrics, management processes, etc. So all these will be involved in the organizational development. Okay, so basically we learned about organizational change. So after organizational change we'll come to know about organizational development, because certain changes should be required or necessary in the organization for the growth of the organization, for the performance of the organization. So in order to have an effectiveness in the organization, definitely changes should be made in the organization. So as we are studying about HR, so regarding the perspectives of human resources, we have to make certain changes. Okay, so the changes may be regarding the employee retention or else the employee training, satisfaction. Okay, likewise many aspects will be there in HR organizational development. So interventions are nothing but the changes that we are going to uh, apply or implement in the organization. Those are the interventions. So these, how these interventions help for the organization means, so these interventions help for the development of the organizations, to bring out the changes in the organizations. Why? Because in order to increase the effectiveness, increase the performance of the organization, so for that purpose these OD interventions will be made in the organization. So we are studying about the HR. Okay, it is purely related to the HR department, HR dimensions. Okay, so therefore OD interventions will be studied, the structures, the strategies, the management processes. Okay, all these things will be applied in the HR department. Okay, so what we will study in this OD interventions means, OD interventions, how would be the audit dimension regarding the HR means. So as we are studying HR scorecard means, so scorecard is nothing but the auditing is done in the whole organization in HR department. So therefore auditing, how auditing will be done means, as I said earlier in many classes, auditing will be done by the external consultant or the internal consultant of the organization. Okay, he will prepare a report regarding any problem. Okay, any problem which hinders the effectiveness or the growth of the organization. Okay, through different aspects like interviews, surveys, questionnaires. Okay, having observations in the organization premises. So with all these aspects, external or internal consultant will prepare an auditing report, okay, of the organization and give it to the top management in order to make some changes and in order to get effective in the organization. Okay, so OD interventions audit dimension means, so in this HRD scorecard, for each and every concept, they will give certain points. For OD interventions, they have given 70 points. So, under these 70 points, we are going to study about these 5 aspects. Okay, so these 5 OD interventions which are given 20 points, 10 points, 15 points, 10 points, 15 points, all over 70 points were given for this OD interventions. So the so-called the external consultant or the internal consultant will look over all these aspects. Are the organizations implementing all these aspects? And he will give the points according to the maturity of these aspects. Okay, so if we study about these means, first one under OD interventions, it is about carried out in a planned, systematic manner. Do the organization is going according to the plans of the organization, goals of the organization, or else the individual goals and organizational goals are in alignment or not. Okay, so those aspects will be studied there. Another one is using action research where necessary. So this is another concept, ensuring success of the OD intervention. So what changes do we want means, so we have to ensure that in our objectives and perceived visible benefits as a consequence, which changes we are going. So those changes, do those changes are visible in the organization or not, will be known by the external consultant. And competencies of people involved, how competent are the employees in the organization in order to achieve those objectives. So all these will be studied by the external or internal consultant and give the maximum points. Okay, so now coming to the components, for each and every topic in this HRD scorecard we will study about the components. Okay, so the components, how would be the auditing, all these aspects will be studied under each and every topic. So under OD interventions, what components will be studied? Okay, so first one is establishing rapport between the external consultant and the organization. Okay, so here, first of all, if at all internal consultant is hired with the organization, there will not be much problem. Why? Because he is internal person, he will have a good relationship with the employees and he can do his auditing. But whenever external consultant is there means, definitely a rapport should be created by the external consultant with the employees of the organization and the other stakeholders of the organization. Okay, so that's why under components. Okay, first of all, we have to study about the entry of organization. So the entry of the organization will be the external consultant and the rapport with, by the external consultant with the organization. And coming to another one, preliminary data collection. So after entering into the organization, the external consultant has to collect the data regarding the OD interventions. Okay, after that, interviews with top management and other key people will be done. So first of all, whenever the external consultant entered into the organization, first of all, he will interview with the top level management. Afterwards, he will study about the processes, various processes that were followed by the organization regarding the OD interventions, regarding the changes in the organizations. Okay, and afterwards, he will study about the documents and secondary data. So these documents and secondary data will be related to, do the organizational development interventions are being executed properly or not, implemented properly or not. If at all they have implemented properly, so for that they should show the documents regarding those interventions. Okay, and also at the same time, if at all there is any secondary data like the manuals or the records or the survey reports, all these also should be presented to the external consultant and he will study about all those records. Okay, and coming to another one, final presentation by the consultant to the top group on the OD approach works, preparing them for the process, clarifying any issues before the work is initiated, and eliciting their support for the same. Okay, so final presentation of the consultant. Okay, he will approach towards the top level management and how to do the process, how to do the audit in the organization. For that, he will have a data, he will collect the data, he will ensure the process how to do it. Okay, and he will uh, give a clarity regarding the work initiation, and also finally obviously everyone will try to have a support from the organization. Okay, so this is about the OD components. Okay, so coming to another slide. After components, okay, after entry into the organization, how the external consultant will do the audit. Okay, so how he will do the audit means, first of all, interviews, documents, secondary data, questionnaire data, all these will be uh, handled by the external consultant. Okay, so he will do the interviews, he will collect the secondary data or the documents or manuals, reports of the organization regarding the interventions. Okay, and finally he will go for a questionnaire data also. So under this, he will have interview with the HR manager, the line managers, the functional heads. Okay, so in that process, what questions will be asked by the external consultant with HR manager or else the line managers or functional heads. Okay, so for HR manager, like how systematically is OD intervention planned? Because he came over here to see, to check that do organizations go for OD interventions? Why? Because for the increase in the performance of the organization and growth of the organization. So in that process, he will study that how systematically those OD interventions are planned. Okay, for he will ask the HR manager. In that process, what is the planning process? Okay, planning process for OD interventions. So he will study about the interviews, study of various processes in the organizations, study of documents, secondary data, all will be collected and questioned by the external consultant to the HR manager. Coming to line managers, what questions will be asked to the line managers? Because HR manager questions will be different and the line managers questions will be different. Okay, because HR manager plans the concept, he will plans the OD interventions, but coming to functional heads or the line managers, okay, they will implement those plans. Okay, so the questions will be like that only. So what questions means, are OD interventions planned by the HRD department or not? And what do you think about those OD interventions? Because if that OD intervention will be useful for the organization or not. Okay, because many OD interventions will be there in the organization for the growth of the organization. So that particular aspect may be relevant to the organization or not. For example, if we take OD intervention like employee satisfaction or else employee training, do they really think that intervention will be helpful for the growth of the organization or not? Because those people are the ground level people who knows the basic pains and gains of the organization. Okay, so he will ask them, what do you think about that particular intervention? And have you observed any consultants and top management involvement in the planning phase of the process? Okay, so because definitely top management involvement should be there in the planning phase. Why? Because planning part will be done by the top level management only. Planning and decision making, these will be taken by, as we are having three levels of management, top level, middle level and lower level, the planning and decision making will be taken by the top level management only. So here he will ask that, have you observed any consultants or else any top level management involvement in the planning process or not? Because they are those are the persons who are to implement those planning. Okay, and coming to the data for this planning or else for this all these OD interventions, okay, there should be definitely a documents, manual records should be there. Okay, or else any other secondary data pertaining to that particular planning phases of OD interventions are there or not. It will be checked by the external consultant. And finally, HRD audit questionnaire will be given to them in order to know about a deep investigation in the OD interventions. Okay, so this is about the external consultant duty. Here, what does he will do? by entering into the organization. Okay, and coming to how or else what else the points were given as we studied in first slide. Okay, here, so what else, what are the dimensions? These are the 5 dimensions that are going to be investigated by the external consultant. Okay, so if we take first one is carried out in a planned systematic manner. For this 20 points is given by this. And here, if at all this is planned in a that OD intervention is planned in a systematic manner or not, all this can be seen by the external consultant in the organization. Okay, for this, in this first part, we are going to know about carried out in a planned systematic manner. Means under this we can study about problem identification phase. Okay, so different aspects will be studied. Okay, under this carried out in a planned systematic manner, what are those 3 aspects? Means problem identification phase, strategic planning in a participative manner, planning the specific interventions. So these are the 3 parts that can be studied under carried out in a planned systematic manner. Okay, so first one, problem identification phase. So problem identification phase means here you can see 20 points given for each these 3 aspects. Here here points are here segregated. Okay, 6 points, 7 points, 5 points likewise. Okay, so under this first one is problem identification phase. So what does problem identification phase studies means? So it used do that organization used various sources for collecting information or not. Okay, so various sources for collecting information means here interviews with people across the organization and in each stage or else in each department, each level of the management has been made or not. So that is studied under this problem identification phase. Because first of all, if we have to take any OD intervention, okay, in the organization, means definitely we have to first of all identify what is the problem. So under this first one is problem identification phase. For example, if that organization needs employee training, so that is a problem that is involved in the organization. If at all, if we given employee training, means definitely we will see productivity in the organization, ultimately performance of the organization can be seen. Okay, so here, for example, the problem identification phase is the employee training. If we give a proper training to the employees of our organization, means according to the external environment, okay, requirement, then definitely organization may be in growth phase. Okay, so under this, for that problem identification phase, do we have collected any interviews, any observations made, okay, any data collected in all levels of management or else in each and every employee? Okay, all these can be studied under this problem identification phase using various sources. Means various resources are nothing but the employees and the stakeholders of the organization at all levels of the management. Coming to another one, comprehensive diagnosis of the issue and causes. Okay, so comprehensive diagnosis means comprehensive in the sense all over all aspects of the organization will be covered. So that is known as comprehensive, complete. Okay, so therefore here complete diagnosis means compilation of all the data collected regarding that particular issue. Okay, so each and every employee opinion have been collected or not. Okay, so what were the causes of that issue? Okay, the data should be collected from the organization of each employee in each every department. Okay, and coming to another one is under this only a detailed analysis also should be made regarding those issues and causes. Okay, we have to note down those issues and causes. Means a detailed analysis of key nodes, key problems should be maintained by the organization. Okay, so then only the organization may recognize what are the grassroots problems, what were the issues, what were the causes, and they will find out the resolution for that problem. Okay, so now another one, Under this carried out in a planned systematic manner means do we use all the employees of organization, and comprehensive diagnosis is made in the organization or not, and how to audit this one. Okay, so how to audit this one means in under auditing process. Okay, it will involves interviews, documents, and secondary data, questionnaire data. So all will be done here. So interviews means the external and consultant, he will interview the HR manager. Okay, so he will interview the HR manager, and he will ask the HR manager about the questions like how do you go about in the problem identification phase. Okay, elaborate it, the process of it. Okay, or else what are the various methods do you use in order to identify the problem, and how do you diagnose the issues and causes. Okay, and what were the mechanisms that are used for the same issues. Okay, so all these questions will be asked by the external consultant with the HR manager. And what questions will be asked for line manager and functional heads means do you observed or else have you observed HRD conducting interviews regarding that particular issue. Okay, or else any surveys were conducted in the organization or not. Those type of questions will be asked by the external consultant to the functional head or line managers. Okay, and coming to documents or secondary data, so there are a problem identification process will be done with the proper documentation. So he will check those documents or data. And finally, questionnaire data also. HRD audit questionnaire data will be there with the HR or else the external consultant. Okay, through questionnaire only he will ask all those questions with HR manager or else the functional heads or line managers. Okay, and coming to another one. So strategy planning in a participative uh, manner. Okay, so under this uh, what 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 else we will study means sharing feedback of the diagnostic understanding, the key people who are the key people in the, giving under the feedback. Okay, or else working out with various options and alternatives. Why? Because for dealing with the problem and the consequences, each of the alternatives will be explained. Okay, and at the same time encouraging the team to take decisions on the alternatives to be used, or else deciding a strategy for implementing the changes required, either using an in-house team or with the involvement of the external consultant. So all these are considered as the components regarding the strategy planning in a participative manner. So strategic planning is nothing but about the issue, about the intervention. There should be a proper strategic planning should be there, and that strategic planning considers feedback or not, participation is there or not, any other options were there for that, or else how many alternatives were there. Okay, and do the organization encourages the team to take a participation or to take a decision making. Okay, likewise all these concepts will be involved under strategy planning in a participative manner. So all again all these things will be audited by the external consultant through interviews, documents, and questionnaire data. Okay, so again here there will it will they will involve HR manager, line manager, or functional heads. Okay, and the questions will be like what is the strategy for moving ahead to the next phase, what strategies are you using, or else what is the information or else the identification of the problem discussed with key people in the organization or not, have you discussed. Okay, or else the different what are the different options or else the alternatives discussed here regarding the particular problem. Okay, and coming to the line managers also, what is your opinion regarding the involvement of employees? Why? Because do the employees participate in those issues? Okay, likewise questions will be given to the line managers or functional heads, and at the same time data will be collected regarding the decided strategy, what strategy they have confined. Okay, for that particular issue. So what is the deciding strategy? So that is known as the document or the secondary data for that particular issue. Okay, and finally questionnaire data, this is prepared by the external consultant in order to know about all these things. Coming to another aspect under this carried out in a planned systematic manner, Planning the specific interventions. Okay, so taking decision, detailed plan. Okay, here taking decision on the intervention. Okay, so what should be used. Okay, that is known as taking a decision. So the decision may be in the regarding the structural issues or cultural issues, maybe anything. Okay, and a detailed plan also needed on how to proceed. Okay, or else using a collaborative approach while framing this OD intervention. Okay, for implementation and review, do they used collaborative approach or not. And data collection. Okay, so data collection means on outcomes and improvements, analysis, review of outcomes, discussions on modifications to be made, and future plan of actions. So on all these aspects, data collection is there or not. Okay, and using temporary teams to continue the work or not. Okay, planning the next phase to enhance the improvements. Do any other planning is there for another next phase. Okay, so these are all the planning specific interventions. Okay, planning the specific interventions. So planning, under planning, all these aspects, decisions, detailed plans, collaborative approaches there are not, data collected regarding that approach. Okay, so all this can be studied. Again, under here we are going to study about the how to audit. So again, how to audit means HR manager will be